Hello, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. Today is a really special episode because we are talking about the evolution from uncertainty to certainty. And y'all, I'm talking about this specifically because this week, the week that this episode goes live, is the 3-year anniversary of me leaving my job and going into entrepreneurship full time. And the ride has been so wild. When I first got into entrepreneurship, started my business, all of the different things, there was so much self doubt. There was so much fear. And the journey over these last 3 years that I have been on in order to become where I am now, which is the most certain of who I am, what I'm creating, how I'm going to create it, and all of these different things, even in this crazy world that we live in, where we don't know what's going to happen and how there's this divine co-creation happening with us in the universe. This certainty that I have, that I want to share with you what that evolution has looked like, because it is truly has changed my life, changed my perspective, and it's going to be the reason that not only I am successful in the future, but that I hope you are successful in the future too. Because learning to become certain in what you are creating, who you are, like this is such a powerful way for you to change the trajectory of your life. So I want to dive in by first sharing with you, like over the last almost month, I have been in my two-line hermit phase. And this is so funny because 3 years ago, when I left my job and jumped into entrepreneurship, I learned about human design maybe about 3 months later. I remember this two-line part of me, which I'm a 5-2 sacral generator, and my unconscious identity is the two-line. And this is something I didn't resonate with at all. I literally thought that somehow the test was wrong or the chart was wrong, because there was never a season of my life where I allowed myself to have that space, step into my hermit, do any of these things. But also, when I thought about it, it was the thing I desired the most. And now, as I'm recording this episode, I actually am about in my third week of allowing myself to step into that like hermit season that I needed, because I know what's on the other side of the two-line is me bringing out my natural gifts, my natural genius with you all, for you all, to help make business a little more easy, a lot more fun, actually a lot more easy. And learning that I needed to give myself this space was one of the best gifts on my journey from uncertainty to certainty. And I want to tell you a little bit more about that, because I had been running, depending on how long you've been in the community and listening to the podcast and hanging out in my world, for the last year, I have been running a weekly human design happy hour. And something that I love, something that was so fun to connect with these amazing women. If you are one of them that attended and are still listening to the podcast, like girls, ladies, I miss you. It is, and don't worry, something amazing is coming back and coming out of this hermit season. So stay tuned for what's coming in October. But what I want to share with you is that allowing myself to recognize that even though I loved happy hour, which is something that I was doing every week, I could feel this pull that I needed to go within. And that's something that I had very much been conditioned by even people in the online space, be just the way that we work in the work world. If you still have a job and are trying to start your business on the side, where it feels like we always have to be serving and going and taking care of ourselves, and doing what we need for ourselves comes second. And even being a mom, that's part of the life that I've felt a lot of. And so when I felt that internal knowing, that call to say, I think it's time to stop happy hour the way that it was, allow myself to go within and take that time, take the season to do the inner work, which I have been doing for 3 years, and we're going to talk about that. But do it in this very intentional way of knowing that one cycle has closed. And because I, as a person, have evolved, I, as an entrepreneur, have evolved, my business has evolved, you, as my community, have evolved. I knew that I needed to show up in a different way going forward. And allowing myself to do this was really, really valuable. And so, like, quick human design tip here: if you know that something needs to change in your business, in your life, I highly, highly encourage you to check out your profile lines, very specifically your unconscious profile line, which is the second number in that fraction that you're looking at. That's the thing you're meant to do for you so that you can show up as the best version of that first line, that first number. And so for me, as a 5-2, by allowing myself to have this season of hermiting, of going within, and y'all, I'm going to be sharing what's been happening during this season and really how that reflects back to the last 3 years of my life in entrepreneurship, in this journey of becoming so damn certain of where I'm going and how I can support you on that path. I share this because this is the thing that I have historically not done for myself, right? It's the thing we were not taught to do. And now, what is so wonderful about it is knowing this, I consciously entered my hermit season, have been giving myself that time to reflect, and I'm already like excited and ready to be coming out and to be sharing more with you. But I want to tell you this story about this 3 year evolution of entrepreneurship, because y'all, entrepreneurship is not easy. And if you are an entrepreneur, you understand that. And it is also completely worth it if it is something you are willing to commit yourself to and that you are truly called to do. And this is not something that is meant to be like only a part of you. Like, being, if you have this internal identity as an entrepreneur, as someone who wants to serve and support people and really fulfill your life purpose through a business that you have built yourself, it is the biggest personal development journey of your life. It stretches you. It brings up all of these limiting beliefs. There are tons of new skills that we have to learn on the journey. And it really is an initiation, I believe, into that next level of abundance and blessings that we desire. But it's going to put us through the ringer and parts of it. And that's the short story I want to share with you over these last 3 years, because today, where I sit 3 years into my entrepreneurial journey, I am certain that where I am going, what I am creating, is in alignment with me. I feel the sacral fire when I am working on projects, the timeline that it's going to take me. I have not only plans along the way, but flexibility and resources and understanding and depth of awareness in myself, in order to know that if something doesn't go the way that I planned, then I am strong enough to be able to handle that situation. I've got the tools to help me recalibrate, to notice if something is not in alignment, the strength to know what to let go of and not be working on anymore, and also the courage to take the leap in places, into spaces, into actions, into doing things that I may not have been willing to do 3 years ago. And now it just feels so good to have that. And this is something that I desire for you. So I want to share that when I first started into entrepreneurship, I didn't know anything about human design. And even though I had learned it about 3 months in, like I said before, there were pieces of it that did not resonate with me at all. My two line, which I now love and understand so deeply, I am a sacral generator, which means I have this like fire and ability to respond from within. And I was like, well, that's broken, because that doesn't work for me. And then again, I was like, is there something wrong with the chart? Is there some other way to get a different answer? And it showed me truly how out of alignment I was. And what's really funny is, in that moment when I found human design, I remember in the back of my mind, I just kept repeating, I feel out of alignment. I feel out of alignment. I didn't even know what that meant. I hadn't started my spiritual journey. which is funny because now during this hermit season, I feel like I am having one of the biggest spiritual awakenings of my life. And over the last 3 years, I've had different versions of that. But the level and the magnitude that's happening now is so profound and beautiful. To think back to where I was 3 years ago and not trusting myself, not trusting the world around me. And it's so weird that that happens when we leap into entrepreneurship, but that really showed me that there was a lot of healing that I needed to do. And I didn't even recognize it. Probably for the first year of my entrepreneurship, I had been going through a ton of healing, but not knowing that that's what was going on. Depending on how long you've been in the world of entrepreneurship and personal development, like I really, really didn't get into it or understand it as a conscious activity that I needed to do until I would say almost a year, maybe 9 months to a year into my entrepreneurial journey. And this is why this evolution of uncertainty to certainty, like it is an evolution. It has taken time to unravel all of the old stories from my parents, my teachers, my employers. I grew up as a Polish immigrant child, and my parents came from Poland. I was born in America, but I grew up in a really strong Polish community in Chicago originally before I moved into Colorado as a kid. And so that cultural like conditioning and values, and they were all there, and I'm part of who I am, but also trying to understand who I was along this journey in life was something I'd never really thought about. And then after leaving my job, where my whole identity was based on my title, my six-figure salary, the impact that I was making on people, because I worked in a really amazing place where I could change the lives of people. So much was happening in that first year. And I wish that someone had just said to me, it's okay to not have to make your first million in the first 30 days that you're an entrepreneur or in the first year, because so many of us, and maybe if you're still listening to this podcast, we're really good at getting shit done. We're really good at achieving and making things happen. But for so long, we had been doing that for other people. That's what most of my life has been. I don't know if that's what your life has been. But in doing that, at some point, there comes a moment where we realize that we have this deep inner calling. And that's what happened to me when I finally made the decision to leap into entrepreneurship. I knew I was meant for something bigger. I was meant to change the world in a different way. And I couldn't ignore that voice anymore. And my body was reacting. Like this was way before I understood anything about how the body holds on to memories and how like our subconscious mind works. But my body was screaming at me, telling me that I was in the wrong place. I had suffered through several miscarriages on the journey to have my two amazing kids who are now 6 and 4. But that experience like really shook me and made me distrust my body. And at the same time, I was going through this whole like shifting of my identity and shedding this old identity that is the only one that I had ever known. So it felt like my world was falling apart. And what was so interesting in that first year is that there was a moment I had learned human design, and I was trying to figure out how my sacral was supposed to talk to me. And the only thing that I knew at that moment was I was getting some opportunities presented to me that were not in alignment. I didn't know how to get in alignment. I didn't know how to take action that was going to get me where I wanted to go. But I could recognize now, maybe about that 9 month period in, I could recognize what my body was acting like when opportunity was presented to me that was not right for me. And y'all, I remember one of them. I have served on a lot of boards in my local town. I was the president of the school board for a while. I have been asked to be on bank boards and women's community boards, and like I've been in a lot of leadership positions. And I remember I kept getting asked into these things. And I felt like it was pulling my energy away from what I was truly trying to create. And the thing is, in that first year, honestly, I don't even know if I knew what I wanted to create. I wanted to create a business that would help people. I had lots of gifts and skills and experiences that I wanted to share with people. And I was doing business coaching in the local community. I was doing leadership coaching and business coaching and a lot of different things because in that first year, in that early season, we're so often just trying to make sales and get clients, and we'll do whatever it is that someone brings forward to us. And I could start feeling that this isn't right for me. Something is not right here. And so that's when I took this leap into the online space. And y'all, if in that season, still fully uncertain, but just starting to try to figure out how do I figure out what it is that I am meant to do. I do have this deep calling. I do have this desire to support people, to help people. And in my second year, after I had been like passively healing, I don't know if that's actually a thing, but because it wasn't intentional. I would take my kids to school and come home, and my nervous system was so fried that I would either take a nap or get in the bathtub for like 90 minutes, just trying to get the buzzing to slow down. And that's because, like, post COVID, post I had young kids at that time, even right, there are 4 and 6 now. So 3 years ago, they were 1 and 3. And like just trying to take care of them, trying to collect myself from what I had experienced in the job setting and being a new mom through COVID. It just still constantly felt like I didn't know what direction I was going, but I was following these little breadcrumbs of this thing, it wasn't for me. This thing's not for me. I was afraid not to take those opportunities because I thought other opportunities were not going to present to myself. And y'all, I'm a generator. Shout out to our projectors who are out there waiting for invitations. Like that deep internal feeling of, is an invitation, is something, an opportunity for me to respond to, is something going to show up that is aligned for me, and to surrender and to have trust that it and faith that it will. By year 2, I was still not there. Let's be very clear. This certainty, the deep level of certainty that I have now, has truly shown up in the last few months of my life. And y'all, it does not have to take as long as it did for me. I share that with you because I want you to hear and understand that it is an evolution. And so in that second year, as I was exploring my human design, like just reading it for myself, trying to figure out who I was in my regular life, in my identity, to then also figuring out what my business would be like and what that deep inner calling was. And it's like I was hoping to find the right answer. And what's so fascinating about this is I had learned enough to get a little of that sacral fire to start talking to me. And it wasn't strong. And this is an exercise I take my clients through. I take a lot of people through, and very possibly there will be a like workshop series coming for this. But learning how to listen to your strategy and authority, and specifically to hear your authority, feel, right? Like to know what your authority is acting like when it's telling you something is in alignment. That's one part. We have to learn what that feels like. And then to actually do the thing, despite what your logical brain says. Like that was the moment that I was in where there was a program that I was feeling drawn to taking on. There was no logical explanation. It was way outside of my financial comfort zone. It was way outside of my personal comfort zone. I felt like this thing was way beyond where I was as an entrepreneur, but something inside of me, as I was learning how my sacral authority was talking to me, that said I needed to be part of that group, in that room, in that mastermind. And so I joined, and I'm not going to go into the details of that, but Like every program that I had joined since that, I had learned something, I had met someone, I had evolved as a person. But trusting myself enough, or even just having this like blind faith, like that was not something I had in that moment. In that second year, for me, truly, it was almost out of desperation, out of like whatever I'm doing right now, trying to get into the online space is not working. And y'all, that one program was not the one that got me through. And there are several other ones that I've been through, and I've taken pieces from all of it. But what was so interesting is being part of that, trusting myself to get in that room. Not only did I expose myself to amazing entrepreneurs, and it just showed me what was possible, showed me more than what I was used to from my small community that I live in, or from the cultural upbringing that I had, or anything like that. But it showed me a world that I had never seen before. And if there's any advice that I could give you, is absolutely keep putting yourself into rooms, into places, into spaces to see things and expose yourself to things that you are maybe curious about, don't know anything about, because your level of awareness and ability to bring pieces together of how that could look for you is exponentially expedited once you start doing that. So in this second year, when I was taking all the courses and I was trying to follow my sacral authority, and some of it was like, I was in masterminds, I was in linear coaching programs, I was in mindset programs, I was in different focused like business programs. And what I remember in that season deeply is thinking that one of these was going to be the magical answer that was going to help me be super successful in the online space. And that is not how it works, my friends. If you still have the belief, let's like work on that, releasing that now, because there's no one thing. There's no one way to run your business. There's no one program that's going to change everything, give you everything, be everything that you need. And at the same time, we need to be so intentional with where we are putting our time and energy. And that was the lesson of my second year, is I was haphazardly and out of this desperation, scarcity energy, signing up for things. And yes, my sacral was telling me, like, try this, go here. And at that same time, I didn't trust that my sacral was right. I had spent 30 some years before that making decisions with lists and logic and facts and data and strategies. So to start to trust myself was absolutely foreign, and my body and nervous system and all that, like that was not something, it wasn't safe to trust myself because I didn't have the support, the proof in my mind yet that doing that would lead me in the direction that I wanted. But don't you worry, y'all, that is absolutely where we've gotten at this point. And I want to tell you, in this third year, if I reflect back to where I was about 1 year ago, on this journey of evolution from uncertainty to certainty, the biggest growth happened in this third year. And it was because I had put myself in some spaces, in some rooms, and not all of those were from the business perspective. That really, these opportunities to step into my leadership, to challenge how I was thinking, for me to stand in what I truly believed as not only a visionary in business, in my spiritual exploration and evolution, in knowing what I know about business and human design, and talking out about, y'all, like all those strategies work. They really, really do. I know millionaires that have made their money in all the ways, and learning how to decipher that for yourself, and learning what your role is in not only life, right? We've got these human designs that are here to help us fulfill our life purpose, but to know what that life purpose is and starting to make decisions of, how do I consciously integrate that into my business? How do I consciously step into the role that is my design? And so my human design experiment over the last year deepened so much as I was also then healing at a deeper level than I had ever before. And what's really interesting about this is in this season, I was not in any healing programs, mindset programs, anything like that. I actually, for that little period of time, maybe like fall of 2023 into spring of 2024, I was really focusing in on strategy and business things. And also, I was dealing with volunteer things. That's when I was in the height of my being the president of the school board and a lot of responsibility outside of my business. And so, what was really interesting about this journey of evolution and certainty is as I had been learning along the way to trust my human design, to even understand it in the first place, but let alone trust my inner knowings, trust what my sacral is saying, trust the gifts that I had that I couldn't even explain in that season, things started to push me. Experiences started to happen that pushed me so significantly outside of my comfort zone. I truly believe that like the universe grabbed me by the shoulders and shook me awake. And I had already had parts of my spiritual awakening journey along that, but it was like, remember who you are. And I think that's really fascinating because you may have heard that in the personal development space, this idea of like human design and personal development as a re-remembering of who you are instead of a becoming of someone else. And in that moment, and even reflecting back on these 3 years, I actually believe that I have become a different person because this, I've never in my life, no matter how much education I've had, no matter how high my role was, had the deep level of certainty in who I am, in what I am creating, and how I am going to create it as I do now. And I hope and wish this for all of you because y'all, the feeling inside my body and the experiences outside that I am having in this season, it is something that I have dreamed for, and maybe many of you have also. But to actually be living it now and know that it's possible, and to have my nervous system be calm, and to know that I can handle anything that comes up ahead, and to know how to say, no, this is not right for me and not feel bad about it, or to dive into something and join up with a program or a mastermind or something that is calling to me in that moment, and to trust that it will all work out on the other side, even though logically none of these things might make sense. I have had enough experiences now, especially in this last year, where I chose to listen to my sacral. I chose to do the thing that deep within I couldn't get that thought out of my mind. And that on this journey to becoming certain, I was not certain in those moments. Like I want to be very clear. There were several moments that I did things that energetically I was wobbly. That was before I even started exploring energetics, which has only happened in maybe the last 5 or 6 months of my life, to really see myself over this journey. I was a being that wanted to serve, wanted to help, had a ton of gifts, tons of experience, just like so many of you listening. That has been the funnest part of my whole evolution, is I have met so many amazing entrepreneurial women and men, but I work with a lot of women who have these big dreams, this desire to help people. And whether your big dream is just to replace your previous corporate income and to be your own boss, or to truly make like a movement that is worldwide and impact thousands upon thousands of people, the vision, the bigness of that vision is to serve the world, to make the world a better place, and to do that in a way that feels authentically good to you. And what has been so interesting in this third year is that if you've heard that phrase, like what is meant for you will be yours, it won't miss you. And that if you're out of alignment at some point, like the universe is going to come back and bring you into alignment. And what was so fascinating is that this last year, what the kind of the wake up, the shaking that I got was remembering that I am a leader. And I had always been a leader in management and all of these different things in my jobs. And that was sort of like appointed to me by applying for a job or getting a promotion or doing things like that. But I'd always been called to positions of leadership. And in this evolution, in this becoming certain, a huge piece of what was missing was that I wasn't allowing myself to stand as a leader in this world, the online space, entrepreneurial space, because I hadn't made millions yet or this or that. And what was really fascinating is I have had so many successes that I dismissed because I kept waiting for someone external to pat me on the back to say that I was right. And it didn't matter how much money I had made because inside something still didn't feel right. And it was because I was making these decisions and taking this action still rooted in fear, still rooted in this energy of what if someone comes and tries to discredit me? Or what if someone is better at something that I do than I am? Or what if my family judges me for putting my face on the internet, or my friends judge me? And y'all, one of the things I can say here is you never know what's going to happen. I have a friend from my past job life that I would have never expected to be interested in human design and spirituality and all of the things. And now she has been regularly contacting me, asking questions and all of these things. And like, you don't know, we never know. And even within my own self, to think back to 3 years ago where I was, and today, where to know the difference, like, I have become a different person. And I encourage you to look back at your own entrepreneurial journey. It is one of the most beautiful journeys that we can be on because it shows us, yes, who we are, who we truly are. And I believe that from a human design perspective, it's not that I was becoming someone new, it's that I was learning how to be who I truly am. And at the same time, I was evolving into a new version of myself because confidence comes with maturity. Confidence comes with experience and growth and stepping into your version of leadership. And for me, one of the things that that means is recognizing that I am here to lead people who want something big in their lives, who want to truly make the world a better place. And it's interesting because that's how I've always felt. I've very much felt that way in the jobs that I've had, in the way that I've supported my family, and friendships and things like that. But it was something that I didn't always hear a lot of people talking about in especially my local community. Yes, we wanted to support these little populations, we wanted to do community service, but like this service, the ripple effect of the work that I can see happening from the amazing clients that I work with, the ones that help people heal from narcissistic relationships, the ones that help underserved populations receive energy work and like have places to run their businesses through, the ones that are training people to have better relationships with their pets, or to actually physically heal someone's body, or just help them get their first home. It doesn't have to always be about healing, but it has to be rooted in something deep within you. And you already have that. And that's something I had 3 years ago that hasn't changed. What has changed, what has evolved, is my awareness and understanding of what that is, of what my life purpose is, that the clarity and the depth of understanding that I have in that, and then bridging that with knowing myself, trusting that I am good enough, I am the leader that I aspire to be, and that others want to follow, not because they want to be exactly like me, but because they have their own visions of something big. And all of that strategy and all of the business stuff that I teach you and support you through, like, there's so much value in that. But when all of the strategies work, then you can create a business many different ways. that might still not feel truly aligned to you until you understand your life purpose, until you understand who you are. And then knowing how to make decisions, how to create a plan in a way that, yes, is supported in the foundations of business, of strategy, of business planning. And then the house, the amazing thing, the amazing business that's built on top of that is fueled by your soul and the life purpose that you have been brought into this world to fulfill. Because I truly believe that. I truly believe anyone who's listening to this podcast, who engages in my world on Instagram or connects with me in any way, wants to make the world a better place, wants to help raise the vibration of the earth so that not only like we get to live a good life, but our kids get to live good lives, our clients get to live good lives, and all of this ripple effect that's happening of creating more happy people. And what's really interesting is that on that journey of uncertainty to certainty, a really big eye-opening thing happened. And this is something I want you to really take a minute and think about, is that when I was going through this evolution, I kept looking outside of me in order to get that validation and confirmation. And y'all, like, seriously, we all do this. I've done this for most of my life, and shifting from that to having not only the internal confidence and having done the healing work so that my nervous system felt safe to be doing things the way that I wanted to do them, and then having a plan that was aligned with all of this, like all of these pieces coming together, it is rooted in, if you have that confidence in who you are and what you're here to create, you are truly unstoppable. What matters is, are you surrounding yourself with people, whether that's in person or virtually, but people that will support you on that mission, even if they don't understand it. My husband, who we've been married for 14 years, together for 21 years, we have been through all of the things, and he's one of the most supportive humans to me for anything I've ever desired. Crazy ideas, all the things through our whole life. And there was a moment even when it's like shaky for me and shaky for him. Is this going to work? Is this the right path? And what I appreciated in him, in addition to my friends, in addition to my family members, at least some of them, right? Like, as my vision grew, whether or not my family or husband, they could see it, I trusted and had those conversations that you're going to be there to support me. You don't have to understand what it is that I'm doing in my business and my life, but being there from that supportive perspective. And then also putting myself in communities, masterminds, connecting with people in the online space, attending events in my town, out of my town, to connect with other entrepreneurs who are actually on that same path with me, on the same path of making the world a better place. Hiring people onto my team who had the same alignment and wanting to be positive and having this bigger vision for what's possible in the world. Hiring coaches and mentors with intention to know that this is who I am, here's where I'm going, and these are the people, whether that's on my team or in my coaching sphere, that are going to connect with me. And then bringing along my friends and family and not feeling like my success was dependent on whether they said that I was, whether if I was changing or evolving. How could I show them that I was still on this path and that they could come along? And the clients that I was supporting and continue to support and can't wait to support in the future truly believe in this vision of making the world a better place. And that's something for me in this evolution from uncertainty to certainty that I want you to take away, is that learning who you are, learning what you're meant to create, what your life purpose is, and how you have been designed to take action on that journey. The world is going to keep moving around you. A lot of possibilities, options, strategies, people, all of that's going to keep happening. But when you know this truly and deeply at your core, which involves the process of healing, which involves the process of learning new skills and doing things that you maybe haven't done before, putting yourself into rooms and communities, like getting out of your own way. Like I hear that phrase all the time. And I was like, what does that actually mean? And what it means is that when we have that vision on our heart, when you know there's something, committing to truly like no matter what, that is going to be successful. And yes, you might have good days and bad days along the way, but knowing that that is where you're going, it makes you so much stronger. It makes you so much more confident. And then that's when all of the regular business things start to happen. We start to build our team, we put out offers, we market ourselves, and allow ourselves to create businesses that are truly aligned to us. This is the work I love to do with people inside of my programs. And it's so amazing to see when you do know who you are, when you do know exactly what you're meant to create, how much faster you move. And I've gotten a lot of like research and information about human design. And it's been so interesting, even on my own journey, recognizing that part of my role was actually to help continue to add to the body of knowledge that is human design, to add perspective and ways for you to think about how you apply your human design practically in your business, to take this amazing tool system that teaches you so much about yourself. And how do we use that not as validation or confirmation, which it is for so many of us, but almost as this like manual or you like way for us to look at ourselves and say, hey, here's how I can move faster, move forward, be more certain in the direction that I am going. Because depending on how you were raised, I know the way that I was raised, I had always looked for someone else to tell me the right way. And I presume if you're listening to this podcast, you have dug into your human design and enough of it resonates with you that you're like, how does this thing know me better than I know myself? And this is my encouragement to you, is to keep exploring, keep studying. But when you're ready to start taking action, to become certain, that is something I would love to support you along the way. Keep staying tuned to this podcast. I've got amazing, fun, and like hugely valuable offers coming in the fall. We're just right around the corner of me releasing this amazing report that I have been putting together of in depth how the different parts of your human design apply to you as a unique person, how they apply to your business. And y'all, there's so much more coming beyond that. I can't wait to share more with you about it. But in this episode, what I want you to take away is that going from uncertainty to certainty is an evolving process, is an evolution. And you, wherever you are on that journey, have to believe in there somewhere that where you're going, what you're creating is meant for you. And if you don't know what that is yet, connect with me. Let's do a human design for business reading. Let's figure out what that looks like. Check out my Instagram at I am Anna Nichols in any way that you can. That is the key. That is the through line here, people, is figuring out who you are and what you are meant to create, because then everything else, who you hire on your team, what coaches you hire to support you, how you engage with your family, how they even see that you're showing up, like your whole energy shifts around all of it, because you have evolved and will continue to evolve as your business does. So enjoy the ride, know that it's happening. And when you have a better understanding of the destination, even if you don't know every single step along the way, you're moving with purpose. That calling desire to make the world a better place, you're doing it with intention. And so until next time, my friends, reflect on your past, think about your future, and allow yourself to evolve on that journey. All right, friends, till next time, cheers to your success.